If you wait until the check engine light comes on to change your oil in a 20-year-old car, you're going to end up stranded on the side of the highway with a seized engine. But if you do preventative maintenance, you swap the filters, check the alignment, and rotate the tires while the car is still running perfectly, it will easily give you another 200,000 miles. In today's video, I want to pay attention to what we do to our bodies, and if you are 40 years old or older or perhaps approaching, this video is for you. Your body is in its middle ages, and you should be treating it the same way. Middle age is not a waiting room for getting old. It's the critical biological window where you either actively maintain the machinery or you let the engine seize. In today's video, the New York Times has just published a pretty huge consensus from longevity experts detailing 9 specific things you need to do in your midlife to dramatically increase your lifespan. We're going to speed run through all 9 of these, but before I continue, I've got to tell you that anything that I say in this video is not health advice. I'm not a licensed doctor. All I am is I'm an unlicensed pharmacist who has gone to pharmacy school but who's currently not practicing, and I don't have a license to practice. So anything that I say here, you should be talking to your primary physician about before you make any health modifications. If you're new here, my name is Ryan Kennedy. I'm an unlicensed pharmacist who researches and talks about the latest advancements in health, technology, and biology. Well, first you have to reinforce the chassis, and we're talking about muscle. We have this really wonderful interactive chart that my producer has created for us. If you request it, I could actually share the link to this in the comments. Please let me know in the comments if you want to have access to this. Starting in your 30s, you begin losing muscle mass. By your 60s, that loss fails off a cliff. This is a disease called sarcopenia, and it's the leading cause of frailty and death. The experts say that you have to lift weights. Muscle is not just for looking good in a t-shirt, it's a metabolic sink. It actively absorbs glucose out of your bloodstream, preventing all kinds of diseases like diabetes, and it acts as a little body armor for your skeleton. By lifting weights, but lifting weights isn't enough. You have to include a little protein in every single meal. Here's the biology of why. Let's talk about protein pacing and the biomechanics. Your body does not store protein like it stores fat. You cannot just eat a huge 60-gram steak at dinner and expect it to build muscle every single day. To build muscle, you have to activate a biological pathway called mTOR, which triggers muscle protein synthesis. That switch requires about 20 to 30 grams of protein to physically flip. If you eat a plain bagel for breakfast and a salad for lunch, your body spends 2/3 of the day eating through your muscle tissue to survive, to get the amino acids. You have to space the protein out to keep the switch flipped on. And to look at this, your body doesn't store protein for later. To build and maintain muscle, you must activate the mTOR. The biological switch requires a threshold of about 20 to 30 grams of protein in a single sitting to flip. Please talk about this with your doctor and flip your switches. Make sure they're working well. Next, you need to push the engine. You need to do what's called interval training. Talk to your doctor about this to make sure that you're healthy for this one here. But going for a long, slow jog is great. But interval training is short bursts of intense, heart-pounding effort followed by rest. Drastically improves your what's called VO2 max. It forces your cellular power plants, your mitochondria, to become really efficient at processing oxygen under stress. But let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. The interval training is increasing the VO2 max capacity, increasing the mitochondrial efficiency, and obviously lowering that heart rate. But again, make sure you talk to your doctor about this. Make sure you're healthy to do that. But you also can't just idle the engine all day. The experts say you have to take the stairs. Yes, if you can. This is about NEAT, non-exercise activity Thermogenesis. If you work out for an hour but sit in an ergonomic office chair for the other 23 hours, your metabolism goes into what's called a standby mode. Walking 7,000 steps in a day and taking the stairs forces your body to constantly burn fuel and maintain joint lubrication. It is the difference between a car that is driven regularly and a car that rots in a garage. So please do that and take care of your base metabolic rate, joint lubrication, and reduce your sedentary standby time. Now we move from the mechanical hardware to the software, your gut and your brain. I see lots of people, lots of wonderful people on YouTube and Facebook talk about this, especially those who are concerned about longevity. You need to, according to these experts, eat fermented foods: yogurt, kimchi, kombucha, kefir. The human gut microbiome is basically a reinforcement of bacteria that regulates your entire immune system. As we age, that rainforest loves diversity, which leads to chronic and systemic inflammation. Eating fermented foods introduces millions of live beneficial microbes that act as peacekeepers, actively lowering the inflammatory markers in your blood. Now let's talk about something else. Next, you need to go to bed at the exact same time every single night. Something I completely badly struggle with, but I have to get better at this. Experts say that sleep is not just rest, it's a biological power wash. When you sleep, a network in your brain called the glymphatic system physically opens up and flushes out the toxic amyloid beta proteins that build up during the day. If you constantly shift your bedtime, you disrupt your circadian rhythm, the washing machine breaks, and those toxic proteins, guess what? They keep accumulating and driving cognitive decline. So please take care of your circadian synchronization, glymphatic clearance, and obviously reduce the amyloid beta plaques or buildup. And speaking of your brain, you need to get the shingles vaccine. Obviously, everybody knows about this. Your doctor probably told you, but if you don't have one, I know, why is a rash vaccine is so important for longevity? Because of a pretty terrifying link between viruses and your brain. When you get chicken pox as a kid, the virus doesn't really die. It hides in your nerve roots, or what's called for decades. If it wakes up when you're older, it causes shingles. But recent epidemiological data shows that getting the Shingrix vaccine drops your risk of cognitive decline and dementia by roughly 20%. So it looks like we found that it's actually good for you. The running theory is that keeping that specific virus asleep prevents pretty huge waves of systemic neuroinflammation that physically rots the brain. It is literally a firewall update for your neurology, so please take care of that and suppress your viruses. Finally, we have the network itself. You need to write down a list of your parents' chronic health conditions. Lifestyle is incredibly important, but your genetics are the original blueprint. If you know exactly what your biological blind spots are, whether it's cardiovascular disease or perhaps prostate or early onset cancer, you can start aggressive screening protocols 10 years before the check engine light ever comes on. So please, genetic predictability is really important. Early detection is key for catching something or even treating something, and be sure to not be vulnerable for these blind spots. And lastly, you need to run errands with friends. This is kind of important based on what they find. This sounds like a cheesy bumper sticker, but it's actually hard science. Social isolation is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The human brain is a social supercomputer. When you interact with other people, even just walking through a grocery store, you lower your cortisol levels and release oxytocin, the feel-good hormone. If you disconnect a node from your network, the hardware physically degrades. Middle age is not the beginning of the end. And a lot of people who study the longevity, those who live long, they actually live and die having a really wonderful long-term community. Middle age is not the beginning of the end. It's the exact moment you get to take the wheel. Well, my friends, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow.